Saturday, the 26th of April 1986. At 1:46 a.m., an experiment at the plant number 4 of Chernobyl nuclear plant. Something goes seriously wrong. And as the Ukrainian town of Pripyat slept, unfolding 3 kilometers away was the world's worst nuclear disaster.
I'm standing inside Pripyat, the ghost town, a town which was built for the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power station. History has it that standing on this very rooftop, a man, on the afternoon of Saturday, 26th April 1986, claimed to see something in the sky that he had never seen before. Excitedly, he went down in this particular square and told his fellow citizens. A few hours later, the man turned brown. It is what is known as the nuclear tan, which was affecting him. In a few hours' time, he was taken in an ambulance, complaining of convulsion and uncontrollable vomiting. Very soon, even his fellow citizens complained of the same problem. Thus began Chernobyl. In a record time of 36 hours, 49,630 residents of this town were evacuated, turning this city into a ghost city.
"36 people died immediately. The entire town evacuated in a span of 36 hours. People were told they could return in a few days. But 25 years on, these desolate buildings tell a completely different story."
This is a residential building in the heart of the Pripyat town, which was built specifically for the workers at the Chernobyl power plant. As you can see, people have simply left all of their belongings in a very hurried manner. Incidentally, immediately on the eve of the explosion, for 36 hours, even as the Chernobyl exploded and the reactor continuously spewed out radioactive wastes, people were not informed, and when they were hardly given 3 hours to collect all their belongings. As you can see, in houses such as these, which are strewn across the city of Pripyat, people simply left.
So as for the schools, this town was evacuated after the accident. So people firstly were informed they should be back just in 3 days, because it wasn't clear the real character of contamination, wasn't clear what's the real scale of that. And later, government decided to leave this town closed forever.
The tragedy at Chernobyl was to assume mammoth proportions. The Soviet Union sprung into action using all its resources.
Using all its military might, including helicopters, armored personnel carriers, tanks and trucks, as you can see behind me, the Soviet Union marshaled in 6 lakh men, known as the liquidators, comprising mainly of the army, paramilitary and volunteers, to try and save the Chernobyl nuclear power station, a mission that we now know was doomed.
У меня смена была 18 человек на станции, и мы были, конечно, хорошими друзьями. И, допустим, у меня Тенишев Николай умер, у него рак головы. Хомяченко Володя умер, у него сердечный приступ наступил.
Liquidators were men from the army, paramilitary and even volunteers who were called upon to help mitigate the Chernobyl disaster, even though they had protective gear. But at that point in time, nobody knew the exact extent of the tragedy, something which put them all in harm's way. Of the 6 lakh liquidators, 5.6 were immediately designated as affected in the aftermath of the tragedy.
An estimated 10,000 liquidators have died since the tragedy. But how many others became victims of radiation remains unclear. Estimates of people who lost their lives to radiation vary from 4,000 to 7,34,000. Several reports have been filed on the effects of different levels of radiation on different people. But for those who lost their loved ones, like Valentina, no reports or study can ever justify the loss.
Ну, конечно, врачи там делали химиотерапию, облучение нельзя было, потому что доктор сказал, у него плохо с кровью, он не выдержит.
Кажуть, тому що дуже велика радіація в нашому районі, тому таке здоров'я дуже погане.
Experts say that 150,000 square kilometers of land in Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine are contaminated. There is a 30-kilometer exclusion zone around the plant. Over time, almost 40 lakh people were evacuated. Pripyat today wears an eerie look. The roads are there, but no cars. The buildings are there, no people. The parks and the swings, all there, but no children.
Much like this Pripyat town where we've been touring for the last 1.5–2 hours, this park too has a story of its own. To have been opened on the 1st of May 1986, this park was being readied for the children of Pripyat. However, since the accident rather, at Chernobyl nuclear station happened on the 26th, this park clearly could not fulfill the destiny that it was supposed to.
Outside the exclusion zone, people continue to live. But life for the people living in Kyiv and adjoining areas has changed forever, with radiation checks becoming a routine part of their lives.
Inside the Chernobyl exclusion zone, while getting out also, the government wants us to be scanned so that no radiation from our bodies can go anywhere outside.
But inside the exclusion zone, after more than 2 decades, the radiation levels are still high.
As you can see, this device which I am holding in my hand, the job of this device is to detect and measure the radioactivity in the area surrounding us. The fact that it is constantly beeping goes to show that even after 25 years of this tragedy, the radioactivity in the area surrounding the Chernobyl nuclear power plant is very much present.
Despite the looming dangers, some still live here, but not our choice.
To understand the impact of what happened 25 years back at Chernobyl, one has to visit the Perisher village, a village which was inhabited by 500 people before the explosions. Today has just 7 members living here. In these homes, they are on their own risk, even though the government does provide them medical facilities and other services. But these people who lost their friends and family after what happened at Chernobyl continue and are clear that there is only one enemy which needs to be blamed, and that is the use of nuclear energy.
For Ivan and Maria, losing their friends and family is painful. But life goes on, as always, in what they continue to call home.
Ніхто без ніякого значення, що була вона ночі була, зрив був, там до мене чули його. А на повну катушку працювали в совхозі, картошку сіяли.
Поки не боїмось. Ну що ж, 8 душі є, хватить із нас. Лісорубів тут на год.
The stories of pain and suffering haven't ended for people in Ukraine. 25 years on, they don't expect it to be easy for the children either. But the world, it seems, has found it more convenient to ignore Chernobyl. 25 years later, history at the verge of repeating itself. Can progress at the cost of people still be used as an excuse?